Chapter 19, The Apology Track. The studio always felt different at night. Empty, low-lit, and humming with silence, it wasn't the same space that pulsed with bass, smoke, and laughter during the day. At night, it was a confessional booth, an altar with blinking lights, waiting for someone desperate enough to spill their sins into the mic. Josh sat in the swivel chair, elbows on his knees, staring at the monitor. He'd been here for hours, but he hadn't laid down a single bar that mattered. His hands twitched restlessly, his mind bouncing from the fight with Micah to Bae's face when she asked that simple, piercing question, will Micah always be around? He hated that he didn't have an answer. The last 2 nights, sleep hadn't touched him. He'd sat on the edge of his bed, staring at the ceiling, hearing her voice breaking as she said she couldn't keep feeling like second best. And instead of going after her, he'd let his pride chain him in place. Now, sitting in the studio, the beat looping like a restless heartbeat, Josh finally admitted what he couldn't say in her face. He needed her. He leaned forward, pressed the red button, and pulled the mic close. Test, he muttered. His throat felt tight. He took a breath, then let the words fall raw. It's long nights and stage lights, but I'm missin' your face. Got a crown on my name, but it feel out of place. They call me Dirty Red, but that ain't who I am. I'm a father, I'm a man, trying to prove I can stand. Micah, I've been blind, let the spotlight burn. But you are the only lesson I still need to learn. Fame doesn't mean nothin' if you walk away. So I'm bleedin' on this track just to make you stay. Yeah, the streets cheer, but my bed's still cold. What's the point of platinum if I'm losin' my soul? You are my melody, my harmony, my only song. Without you by my side, every rhyme feels wrong. He stopped, chest heaving. For a second, he thought he'd cut the recording. But the beat kept going, and with it, so did his truth. Bae asked me one night if you were always around. I told her yes, but I feel I let her down. You deserve better, more than half my time. So I'm prayin' through this pen, through this broken rhyme. Ain't no groupie worth it, ain't no label worth more than the girl who kept believin' when I slept on the floor. You're my day one, my backbone, my heart's only queen. True meaning of a lover, girl, you know what I mean. So if this is the last verse that you ever hear, let it be the truth, I want you near. I ain't perfect, but I'm trying to be true. And every beat, every breath, I choose you. The track ended. The silence afterward felt heavier than the verse itself. Josh pulled off his headphones, set them on the desk, and dropped his face into his hands. His knuckles pressed against his eyes until he saw stars. He hadn't rehearsed a single word. It came from someplace deeper than performance. It wasn't Dirty Red spitting bars. It was Joshua Miles, tired, flawed, terrified of losing the one woman who made him believe he was more than a headline. He hit save file and titled it simply, Micah. Meanwhile, across town, Micah sat cross-legged on her bed, a textbook open in her lap but untouched. Her apartment smelled faintly of jasmine from the candle she'd lit earlier, though it had burned low by now. She hadn't been able to focus on school, on work, on anything. Her mother's words echoed in her ear, "Are you sure this man is good for you?" She hated how loud those doubts had become. Her phone buzzed on the nightstand. A message from Josh. Just a link. No text, no explanation. Her stomach flipped. She almost ignored it. Then curiosity, and a spark of hope she wished she didn't still have, made her tap. The beat rolled out of her speakers, low and steady. Then his voice filled the room. Not the cocky, braggadocious tone she'd first fallen for at the open mic. This was rougher, almost breaking in places. She froze. Line after line, confession after confession, it unraveled her defenses. By the time he rapped about Bae asking if she'd always be around, her chest was tight with tears. He had put her fears into words, her doubts into rhyme, her worth into praise. And when he closed with, "I choose you," simple, raw, unpolished, she couldn't stop crying. She replayed it twice, clutching the phone against her chest. For the first time since their fight, she didn't feel like she was battling for space in his life. She felt seen. Her friends, her family, the noise of the world, all of it faded. All she could hear was his voice, choosing her. Back in the studio, Josh leaned back in his chair, exhausted but lighter. He didn't know if she'd listen, didn't know if the track would fix what they broke. But for once, he wasn't hiding behind bravado or excuses. He'd given her his truth in the only language he knew best. And as he left the studio that night, the first rays of dawn coloring the horizon, he whispered to himself. If she hears it, she'll know.